Ladies and gents, welcome. We're going to be covering the updated meta after the Season 3 Reloaded update because there's been a little bit of a shakeup with some different buffs and nerfs. I'm going to first cover what was buffed and nerfed. If you already know about this, and feel free to look ahead where I actually break down the meta and then the loadouts and the timestamps below. All right, so the AK-74, what's been a very dominant kind of sniper support weapon, did get a nerf, small TTK nerf, but it's not going to really be noticeable for the most part, but a decent handling nerf. It won't be as dominant at close range like an SMG. AMAX, basically no change, just kind of changed with its reload speed. Same with the kilo. A lot of MW3 and MW2 weapons did get buffed in this update. Now I want to be kind of upfront here. None of these are going to be absolute top tier meta. You can't use them in ranked anyway if you're interested, but some of these will be fun and much more viable. And basically all of these that got changed did get a visual recoil reduction, so a lot less of that iron sight shake. So Bao 27 got a buff, Holger 556 got a buff, M4 got a buff, and the TAC 56 AR all got buffs. TAC 56 is definitely a pretty solid option to use out of these ones for sure. A few minor changes to the C9 and Saug, nothing really notable there. HRM9 did get a very nice buff. It will be a very competitive SMG. It's got a great chest shot TTK, but it's not very consistent. If you miss chest shots, the TTK is not that good. WSP9 also got a decent buff, still will be a very good option. MX9 I do think actually could be kind of fringe meta. It'll have a good TTK, and also they extended it to a 50 round mag now for the MX9. And then the PSW SMG got a buff as well. It'll be okay. A lot of shotgun changes, nothing major here. Honestly, none of these are still going to be that great. The shotguns are just kind of subpar for the most part. LMG changes, a lot of just changes to like the magazines, although the pulley mod did get a nice buff. It's probably too bouncy and awkward to be a meta option, but it might be fun to use. Attack Eradicator, decent buff. The RAL did get a huge damage buff, and on paper does have a very good TTK, but it's really slow shooting. It's awkward, so probably not going to be S tier. Socken, pretty nice damage buff as well, might be decent. Marksman rifles, AEK did get some buffs as well, and they made some changes to the rapid fire as well, so it might be, you know, decent. DM10 got a buff as well. The Grau, so this is the SWAT 556. This bullet velocity adjustment does affect the Grau aftermarket. So the Grau basically did get a buff here. TR2, this one is going to be extremely interesting to see how good this one ends up being. So they ended up nerfing the close range damage, but the long range damage got a huge buff. Basically, the TR2 has absurdly fast TTKs at long range now. It takes AR ammo, even though it is a marksman semi-auto, and they buffed the bullet velocity even more. So long story short, if you like that kind of semi-auto DMR type gun, this thing will be absurdly good at long range. Sarkov got a buff as well, but don't think it'll be very good. The HDR sniper did get nerfed, but only to its aim down sight speed. It's about 90 milliseconds slower. It'll still be very meta, but maybe not as much in ranked since it's not going to be a one shot in ranked. FGX Imperium got a decent buff to its damage range and long range damage. Even at long ranges, it'll do like 295, I think, damage to the head. So it won't be an unlimited range one-shot headshot, but if they're not fully plated, then they'll get them really close. So let's first break down the close range meta here, and I want to point out that the way this is broken down is this is average TTKs, because guns can get different time to kills based on where you hit your opponent. So based on if you hit him in the stomach, legs, head, and whatnot. Shout out to my mod Harry for putting this data together, but this is a much more accurate way of looking at TTKs rather than just looking at like a chest TTK. And for example, if we go over to truegamedata.com and I look at chest TTKs, the HRM is a good example of this. So the HRM got that nice buff. And the red line, the chest TTK of the HRM, it's 544. And the Kompakt, for example, it's 495. But if I go to combination, which kind of takes in multiple different areas, now the HRM falls way back to 612 and the Kompakt falls back to 550 as well. So this is where taking an average of these different TTKs and the probabilities of these just paints a more accurate picture of how good a gun actually is. So the new Ladra SMG is probably going to be the #1 meta SMG hands down this season. It has a awesome close range average TTK of 566. Mid range isn't bad either. Recoil's not bad. It's got a very fast fire rate. It's just a very good all around gun with fast TTKs. The Saug is probably going to be a very close #2, and it might just be a personal preference thing. A little bit slower TTKs, but pretty similar recoil. It just might be kind of which one do you prefer. AK-74 did get that nerf, although the TTK did not really change much. The thing about it is it still has insanely good kind of mid-range, those kind of longer range TTKs, especially if you're going to use it as a sniper support, but it's not going to be as dominant up close because of that handling nerf that it got. So I think as a sniper support, AK is #1, but as a pure SMG, like to run double AR, I don't think it's really worth it anymore. KSV is a really underrated option. It's low recoil. It's a very consistent TTK. It's just a good all-around gun and also can be a decent sniper support. Kompakt, if you are that super aggressive run and gun up in your face, it's got the fastest TTK in the game, but mid-range, the kind of longer range TTKs are not very good. The recoil is not the best either. Then there's the C9. It's fine. There's nothing special about it. The average TTK is really not that good, but it does have very low recoil and it's got great iron sight. So it's a decent option to use still. And then this is a chart of all those SMGs plus a few others. The HRM9 is in here. It's that kind of this light blue line, and it's competitive. It's in the mix, so it's definitely a good option. But you'll see here the Kompakt is #1, but it has a very short range. The Ladra and AK are kind of tied in this kind of yellowish orange line right here. You'll see the Ladra drops off here, but then the AK keeps going for quite a while, and that's where the AK is so good as a sniper support. Now looking at the long range TTK here. So the AMAX is probably going to be overall #1 as long as you can handle the recoil. So for the high skilled kind of sweaty players and ranked, AMAX is probably going to be it, and especially for like Resurgence as well. But I do think for big map on Verdansk, for kind of a little bit more casual players, I think there's a lot of different options. I think the Grau is extremely good. It's only a little bit slower TTK at long range, but with much better recoil and great iron sights. The Kilo is not bad at close to mid range. Its long range TTK is quite slow, but it's got absurdly low recoil. So for a more casual player, Kilo is still awesome on Verdansk. The Cypher is criminally underrated right now, and you will probably start to see more people start to use it. It's basically the same as the AMAX, but just a little bit slower in that first range drop. But I think the Cypher has a little bit better recoil than the AMAX, so it is going to be a very, very good option, especially in ranked play. And then the TR2 is going to be a super interesting one to watch to see how good and maybe even broken this one ends up being. Its close range TTK is not very good, but its long range TTK is just absurdly good. It basically has no damage drop off. However, it is a semi-auto gun, so you do have to have a decent trigger finger, and it'll be a little bit harder to hit your shots because you're also having to pull the trigger. And then this is the chart version of this. Again, shout out to my mod Harry for helping put this info together for us. So you can see the AMAX is just clear #1 when it comes to close range TTK, all the way up to about 45 meters, and it's still very dominant at long range. But you'll see in that pink line, the Cypher is right here with the AMAX. So at kind of mid to long range, the Cypher is very similar to the AMAX. Kilo's honestly not bad though, up to about 40 meters or so. It's actually the second fastest average TTK AR. Grau very close behind it, but at longer ranges, Kilo very, very slow, whereas the Grau is more in the mix with everything else. And then that light blue line is actually the TAC 56. Very good option. It's going to be very competitive, probably not like meta, but a very fun option to use. And then lastly, the TR2, you'll see very slow at close range, but look at this insane gap that it has at long range. So the TR2, if you can get good with it on Verdansk, is going to be a very powerful gun. All right, now let's get into actually breaking down some loadouts. And so starting with a just super low recoil, easy to use kind of class setup here, we got the Kilo in the C9. I'm going to first explain how I build my guns so you guys can understand this for the future. I prefer to run a 1x optic on most of my guns because higher zoom optics like 2x and 3x have more of that visual shake. A gun like the Kilo, you can definitely get away with it though, because it is such a low recoil gun. Generally, you always want the monolithic suppressor. That way we can add range. But if you want even less recoil, compensator generally is the way to go. Most of my ARs, I prefer to go with the gain twist barrel, but reinforced is fine too. I just prefer bullet velocity on my builds, but reinforced is perfectly fine, where it gives you that combination of bullet velocity and range. Vertical foregrip is hands down what you always want to use on your long range builds for recoil control, and then usually going with like a Mag 2 or Mag 3 depending on what the build is. This is my C9 build, and the way I build these is similar as well. Normally I am always making sure I have a mag ergonomic grip, and then usually for the underbarrel it's either a Ranger or a vertical. If it's a gun that has good recoil, I'll go Ranger for a little bit more movement speed, but if I want to make sure it's very smooth recoil, then I'll go vertical instead. Now the reason I go ergonomic grip here is because this is going to help with our it's going to help with our slide to fire speed a lot, but especially our aim down sight speed. Because of the way Black Ops 6 movement is, how you can aim during your slide, sprint to fire isn't as important, I don't think, in this game. But if you're a more casual player, then I would say actually sprint to fire would probably be more valuable for you. But if you're using movement to your advantage, ergonomic is better. If not, just go with CQB. And then stock, I like to go infiltrator stock, which is going to give you that aim walking movement speed. But if not, the balanced stock is also a great option as well. If you're looking for some non-BO6 guns, the TAC 56 is going to be a lot of fun here. We got the flash hider. One nice feature they did is they made it where it's just all control all suppression. So they kind of are filtering these, and most of these attachments pretty much do the exact same thing that are all in this category. So I'm going Flash Hider, the Tundra Pro barrel, Merc foregrip underbarrel, 60 round mag, and then high velocity. If you want an optic, just swap it for high velocity. HRM here, we're going Broom Pendulum, Thorn 90 barrel, the hand stop, 50 round drum, and then high grain here. You could also swap high grain though for a rear grip or stock. For a super underrated but very competitive meta type build, we got the Cypher and Kompakt here. So I'm going with a 1x compensator, gain twist, vertical foregrip, and then a mag 2. You could go monolithic here instead. Irons are not bad as well on this gun, so you could go iron sight build and then, you know, take off and use something like recoil springs or overpressured. Kompakt here, I do like to run this suppressed integrated barrel because it keeps you suppressed and actually gives you a little bit better iron sights. For some reason on the Kompakt, the Ranger foregrip does the same amount of recoil control as the vertical. So you might as well use the Ranger to get that extra movement speed buff. And then I'm going mag 3, ergonomic grip, and infiltrator stock. If you want an optic, I'd probably swap the stock for an optic. All right, next we got the super kind of long range versatile loadout here. So we got the TR2, which is gonna have crazy long range TTKs. Going 3x on this one, compensator, gain twist, vertical foregrip, and mag 1. I do not like this with the monolithic. It's just hard to use. This is a gun that would benefit definitely from using a gunfighter build on and being able to use something like overpressured. You could then go like quick draw on your rear grip and then probably the combat or heavy stock for your stock. KSV is kind of your do-it-all, very versatile type gun. Also can be a sniper support. I prefer to run an optic on this build, but if you don't mind it, you can go compensator instead. Reinforced Ranger, mag 2, and then the ergonomic grip. Another very meta build, we got the Grau and Saug. I think the Grau is very underrated, and in some situations is actually better than the AMAX. So we're going, this is of course the SWAT 5.56 marksman rifle that we're then gonna put the conversion kit on to make it the Grau. Monolithic suppressor, vertical foregrip, the auto extended mag, and then quick draw. I will say, since they did buff the bull velocity, you can put on the compensator instead here and make this thing super duper low recoil, but of course you will ping on the minimap then. And then the Saug, I know this is a little bit weird to run an optic. I don't know what it is. The irons are clean on the Saug, but I just do better with it when I have an optic. So you don't have to. You can run like a barrel or a fire mod instead on the optic, but I'm going compensator, vertical foregrip, mag 2, and ergonomic. I do like vertical on this one again, just because it has a little bit of that horizontal bounce to it. If you're looking to snipe, the AK is still going to be a awesome sniper support here. So I like to go 1x optic, Ranger, mag 2, ergonomic, and then the infiltrator stock. But if you want lower recoil, you can either swap the optic for the compensator. You could also swap the Ranger for the vertical. And then if you want even better recoil, just take off the stock altogether, put a compensator on, and then you're good to go. And then my HDR build, since they did nerf the ADS speed, I am running fast mag 2. This only gives you a 4-round mag, but the reload is super duper fast, so it's not bad at all. Quick draw grip is again going to help our ADS speed. Then we're going to monolithic, gain twist, and overpressure to get that max bullet velocity. If you don't mind it being a little bit slower, you could instead go with one of the underbarrels, and you could go something like the lightweight bipod or even the marksman bipod, because when you hold your breath, you actually zoom in with this one. So it's actually kind of nice. And if you want to reduce the flinch, you also could swap an attachment and use something like the heavy stock or the combat stock, which gives you some ADS and flinch resistance, but you cannot run a rear grip with this one. All right, and lastly, what I'm considering is probably gonna be the #1 meta loadout, especially when it comes to ranked and or resurgence or big map, really any mode for high scope players, is gonna be the AMAX and the Ladra here. So this is my 5 attachment build. We're going 1x compensator, gain twist, vertical foregrip, and mag 2. You can go monolithic, but it gets a little bit bouncy. Now I do like to be able to go gunfighter when I can. And when I go gunfighter, I will go monolithic, but with recoil springs here. Then we'll add the ergonomic and the combat stock. You can go ergonomic or you can go quick draw. It's kind of either or there for that one. But if you can get gunfighter on the AMAX, it is definitely well worth it. Now for my Ladra build, I do not have this fully leveled up here. So what I'm going with as of right now is I'm going suppressor, long barrel, but I would say this is going to be reinforced barrel, mag 2 once you get it, but mag 1 is not bad, and then ergonomic grip. You also could definitely either swap the muzzle or barrel and then go for a stock instead, like the infiltrator or balance for a little bit better movement speed. But this thing's got super clean irons, fast fire rate. It feels very, very good. Now, as far as equipment and whatnot goes, as far as your melee, it doesn't really matter. Just run whichever one you want. This is just more important for getting around the map faster. When I'm playing big map or ranked, I'm almost always going smokes and then usually impact grenades. There are some other good options. Frags, Semtexes are all very good. Blast traps and Prox mines or spring mines are also very, very strong and super annoying. A lot of people are also running thermites because you can kind of hold corners and hold angles as you put it down, then somebody can't run there for a while. Drill charges did get buffed. So they're going to be decent, but I think overall impacts are probably going to be the strongest option. Now, of course, when I play Resurgence, I'll normally go throwing knives just for finishes, but even then you don't have to worry about that unless you're a really sweaty player. They did unfortunately nerf stims, the movement buff, a little bit even more. I think stims are still a very good option, especially for gas plays, especially on Resurgence, but I think on big map, just smokes are just too good for those end game rotations. Now, things like shock charges though are extremely annoying if you play them well. Experimental gas did get nerfed a little bit. It's still very strong, but shock charges, if you play them right in kind of booby trap areas, are super annoying to fight against. As far as my perks go, so as of this very moment, there is a bug with Tempered. Tempered does not work unless you use Quick Fix. I really like Tempered, having the 2 plates, just very, very valuable. Quick Fix is solid. I don't love Quick Fix though, honestly, because you can't cancel plating. You can hip fire while plating, but I don't love it. Generally, I would actually probably prefer to be running Tracker once they fix this Tempered bug. And then for perk 1, when I'm playing big map and or ranked, I've been going reflexes because prox mines and blast traps are just so freaking strong and annoying. This delays the timer on them so that you can set them off and then kind of run by them. However, I will say Resurgence, I really prefer to run Scavenger so that you can get ammo and plates and money much easier. Survivor is also a fantastic option as well if you're not going to run Quick Fix. You really don't want to run Survivor and Quick Fix together because they do very similar things. But yeah, so I think Survivor, Scavenger, and Reflexes are kind of my top 3. I will say, since Tempered is not working, I do think Ghost is a great option, especially in ranked. But Ghost is kind of buggy and doesn't always work the way it's supposed to. So it is a great option though. And then I'm always going Overkill, but like I said, if I have the opportunity to get a second loadout, then I will almost always go Gunfighter, usually on my AR. Now, if you do know that you're able to consistently get 2 loadouts, then going, Gunfighter AR first and Gunfighter SMG second, and using like a ground loot SMG in the meantime is also a great option, but you just have to make sure you're going to get that second loadout. All right, guys, that's going to wrap things up. Hopefully you found the video helpful, and come check out our stream here on YouTube or Twitch. And otherwise, we will see you in the next one.